Hi everyone, and good evening. My name is Albert, and this is ShowerVlog. Thank you so much for taking the time out of your really busy evening to join me. I hope that you've had a great and super productive Tuesday. I know that I feel like I have, so that's a great thing. And so today we're talking about why it's important to stand up for yourself. And I really couldn't stress this enough to anybody watching this or to anybody needing a little bit of help in their life. You know, whether or not we think one thing is right and or wrong and how that dictates and guides our behavior throughout the daily is besides the point of whether or not you're willing to put up with things that are bad and exactly to what extent are you willing to put up with it. So I think it's important to stand up for yourself for 3 different reasons. It deters bullying, it builds real kindness, and if you accept what's reasonable and don't put up with something that isn't, then I think that's a pretty good reflection of your character. And I know that you're not probably trying to, be a saint or the perfect person, but I think it's important to try and have some good character, and it's just really hard to do when you're in a position to where you're questioning whether or not you should stand up for yourself. So if you Google why it's important to stand up for yourself, there's actually this really cool article that comes up, and it's called Why Everyone Should Stand Up for Themselves. And it's by Erica Shudray, published on August 10th, 2018, and it's a 3-minute read. So I suggest that you read that. And so if you guys are new to the channel, I'm going to start putting the links in the video description. That way you guys can see where I'm getting information from. Currently I do that on Twitter. So if you see the little Twitter mark there somewhere on your screen, follow me, and you'll be able to see all of where I get my content from, and there's hyperlinks to most of the stuff and everything. So yeah, there's this article, and she talks about what my reasons are for wanting to stand up for yourself. And so I kind of just extrapolated a little bit from what she was talking about. And so she starts to talk about bullying. And bullying sucks. This goes from young preteens, this goes from, elementary age school students, to going into college, to being in the workplace. Being bullied is a constant in one's social environment at least a few times in your journey through life, and sometimes it's hard to deal with. But there are certain ways to deal with it. So what is bullying? Well, bullying is when you manipulate, and this isn't like a real, I'm just giving you my own definition, but to me it feels like bullying is a person and or group and or entity and or organization that is coercing you into feel a certain type of way, regardless of whether or not it might be deemed to be socially acceptable or socially we're tolerant, right? What society is able to tolerate at the time. And so and a bully is somebody who takes advantage of people who are trying to just get by. I mean, again, that could be a boss in the workplace. That could be a student to another student at school. It could be online. There's so many different types of bullying these days that it's crazy. So it's more important than ever to stand up for yourself so that you can deter bullying. And that kind of brings us into our second point, where we talk about building real kindness. And so real kindness to me, and what I felt like this article was trying to hint at, was the idea that we should just all be kind to each other, no matter what, just as a matter of factually. And I think that if you believe in that sort of mantra, I think you will get pretty far, and I don't think that you'll have a lot to have to stand up for yourself in doing, but nonetheless, you will encounter situations in your life where you will have to stand up for yourself, and that doesn't mean you have to be mean. That means that you can be kind and diligent and appropriate, and certainly not violent, but there's other ways to stand up for yourself in that fashion. You can articulate yourself well, you can provide a good solid argument to something that may you feel maybe deemed inappropriate or wrong. And so I really think that to have the power to stand up for yourself is something priceless, and I'm thinking that you really should stand up for yourself. It'll build real kindness within yourself too. I think you'll have the capacity to really figure out like what being kind really means to somebody. And I mean that, I say that, and I mean no strings attached type stuff, right? Like you do something for somebody and you're not expecting anything in return. That kind of, to me, is the definition of kindness. And so I think this is actually an excerpt from within that same article that we're talking about tonight. And accept what's reasonable and don't put up with something that isn't. I really, really like that one, because we're not divas here. I mean, I don't want certain things that I know are unavailable or I know that aren't possible to obtain, but I feel that it's a pretty reasonable statement and assessment to say that we all want to be treated with a certain level of respect and dignity, and if we're not, we should have the right, and we do have the right to stand up for ourselves. And sometimes the cost can be tremendous. The article goes on to say that, quote unquote, some people don't like others who stand up for themselves. And I also find this to be true, unfortunately. And those people are the bullies. So of course they're not interested in that. But regardless, without spite, without hate, without the feeling of needing to be vengeful, you simply remain kind, you simply remain diligent, you try to deter bullying, and you make as reasonable assessments and decisions as you can based on what you're willing to tolerate and what you're not willing to tolerate. And so, again, those are all really important things that come to mind when I'm thinking of standing up for yourself. And I really think that those things are important. So, again, if you ever find yourself in a situation in life where you need to stand up for yourself, personally, in the workforce, educationally, at a party, social context, with your family, definitely assess the situation, try and make an appropriate decision, but remember that ultimately you're trying to deter bullying, you're trying to assess a situation that will only actually lead to a kind result, because we want to be kind when we're looking for a reasonable result to a problem that has been encountered as a result of somebody trying to bully you. And finally, being able to make that reasonable assessment on what's tolerant and what's appropriate and what's not, what you're willing to put up with and what you're not. That's kind of the way to go. And I thank you for your time very much. I hope you guys have a wonderful night, and I'll see you in the morning for our shower vlog. If you haven't already, please follow. I'd really appreciate it. And other than that, I have nothing for you. I did a taco vlog earlier, and I guess it gave out in the middle, and so I was actually in a restaurant today eating multiple tacos, talking to a phone that was not recording. Yeah, that was my day, but it was fun, and I didn't know that I didn't get the footage until I got home. Otherwise, I would have eaten the tacos. But all right, have a good night.